Imagine standing on the Giza plateau at sunset. In front of you are three perfect mountains of stone: Khufu, Cheops, Khafre/Chephren, and Menkaure, Mycerinus. And the question always comes, the same as it has for 4,500 years: how did they really build them? The most honest answer is this: there isn't a single secret trick, but a mix of state-level organization, practical engineering, and a gigantic religious idea. The pyramids weren't just tombs, they were the most ambitious project ever designed to turn a pharaoh into eternity, linking earth, sky, and the afterlife. Let's start with something many people don't know: the image of whipped slaves is not what modern research shows. At Giza, areas connected to workers and logistics have been studied, often called the builder's city, with evidence of an organized system: teams, housing, food supply, skilled craftsmen, all managed by the state. And there's an even stronger piece of evidence, almost movie-like: the Diary of Mirror, a real papyrus logbook that describes shipments of fine limestone blocks from the quarries of Tura to Giza during Khufu's reign. It doesn't tell you what the ramp looked like, but it lets you see the logistics machine in motion: boats, shifts, deliveries, schedules. Then there's the simplest, and most brutal, of physical problem: how do you move enormous blocks across the desert? This is where a surprisingly human solution comes in: sand. Hauling on dry sand is extremely hard, but modern experiments show that wetting the sand in front of a sledge makes the surface more compact and sharply reduces friction. In practice, you need much less force to drag the same load. This idea has been discussed in studies published in physical review letters and reported by various science outlets. So imagine the real scene: sledges, ropes, levers, coordinated teams, sand dampened just right, and a worksite operating like a city. And now we reach the part that drives everyone crazy: precision. The Great Pyramid is aligned to the cardinal directions with a tiny error, better than 4 arc minutes, according to a publication by Glenn Dash in the Journal of Ancient Egyptian Architecture. 4 arc minutes is almost nothing. It's like laying out a gigantic square and missing it by a hair. And that raises the question: how do you do that without a compass? One of the most discussed hypotheses is using circumpolar stars to find true north. Kate Spence, in a widely cited paper published in Nature, proposes a method based on observing pairs of stars near the celestial pole, using simple tools but rigorous measurement. Other scholars debate variations and limitations, but the point remains: the Egyptians could use the sky as an orientation instrument with astonishing accuracy. So does perfect alignment with the stars mean the pyramids were an observatory? Not exactly. The strongest point is alignment to the cardinal directions, and the idea that the orientation could also be achieved through the sky. Then there are more suggestive interpretations. For example, the famous internal adducts of the Great Pyramid, often called air shafts, some have suggested they might also have symbolic or astronomical meaning, like pointers towards certain regions of the sky, but this is debated and not a definitive certainty. Here the mythological side comes in, and it's essential to understand why all of this truly matters. For the Egyptians, the pharaoh after death had to be reborn and join the cosmic cycle. The stars that never set, the circumpolar stars, were seen as a perfect symbol of immortality. So a pyramid is not just stone, it's a spiritual program. Even if today we focus mainly on the engineering, for them it was a bridge between the human world and the divine world. And now let's face the most famous theory of all, the one that pops up everywhere online: the 3 pyramids are aligned with Orion's belt. This is the so-called Orion correlation theory. It's popular, it's fascinating, it makes incredible thumbnails, but in Egyptology it's often classified as a fringe theory, and it isn't academic consensus. Does that mean you should never mention it? On the contrary, it's perfect for a video, just treat it the right way. You can say, this idea exists, it's famous, but we don't have direct Egyptian textual evidence saying, we built it for Orion, and many similarities can be interpreted as coincidence or as modern readings. And here we come to the big museum question: is there an Egyptian museum aligned with the pyramids? If you mean the old Egyptian Museum in Tahrir Square in central Cairo, no, it isn't known for a planned alignment with Giza. But if you're talking about the Grand Egyptian Museum, GEM, near the pyramids, then yes, various architectural descriptions say the design uses visual axes and lines that point toward the 3 pyramids, with a fan-like form and an overall layout meant to dialogue with the plateau. And now the question that can't be missing: aliens. Why do so many people believe it? Because the pyramids are huge, because they're precise, and because for centuries people underestimated what an ancient civilization could do without modern technology. But today, when you put together the logistics, the diary of mirror, practical techniques, sledges and wet sand, labor organization, and the ability to measure sky and earth with simple but accurate methods, aliens become unnecessary. The truth is far more powerful. Human beings, with simple tools, created one of the most impressive works in history because they had time, motivation, faith, and a state capable of coordinating everything. So, how did they really build them? With quarries and transport by river and by land, with sledges and levers, with ramps likely built in multiple phases and using different solutions, with specialized teams and a bureaucracy managing food, materials, and schedules. And above all, with one idea: to make the pharaoh eternal, aligning his monument with the world, the sun, and the sky. And if we still debate stars, shafts, Orion, and mysteries today, it's because Giza wasn't just a construction site, it was a message designed to survive time.